So this piece I've got here to trim is has got a wiggly rim. It's uneven, and if I set it straight down on the wheel head, it's gonna squish the clay here at these raised points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a foam bat for something like this. I'm also going to use a quarter or a cap, like a bottle cap. So this foam bat is just a piece of foam attached to a bat. So it's got bat pins, or I mean holes for bat pins. And this person actually marked it on the top, which is nice, because then I should be able to find those bat pin holes a little faster. Alright, so I've got this secured on here, it's not going anywhere. And then there's also a bunch of lines here, so it helps get this piece centered. I can fairly quickly guess how close I am to centered. If you're not sure or your bat doesn't have lines, you can use the needle tool method to check. And it looks like I just am not quite round, but I've got it on there. So the reason for the quarter or a bottle cap, a Snapple lid or something like that, I actually worked with a guy who preferred a Snapple lid because you could pop it down and know that you were secure. But this allows me to hold on to the piece while I'm trimming. Now nothing here except friction or whatever is holding this steady, and so if I start this wheel spinning real fast, I can send this piece flying. So this is probably not a method I'd recommend your first time you're trimming. First time you're trimming, use wads, keep it steady on there. After you are fairly comfortable with trimming, you can kind of upgrade to this technique. And obviously I'm not going to be able to trim the inside with the quarter there, but I can work on the outside with the quarter in place. So the quarter allows my hand to spin just because it's a smooth surface. If I put my hand directly on the clay, it kind of works, but my hand kind of sticks on that wet clay. So I'm just kind of cleaning up the edge. With my large loop tool, I'll mark where I want my foot ring to be. And then I can trim this outside. Now later on I'm gonna, whoops! And obviously you can see the disadvantage of this method. Later on, so now that I've got a kind of uneven cut in there, I'm gonna have to be extra careful cutting away because my trimming tool is going to be more likely to catch on there. One other advantage of the quarter is that you're able to catch it quickly if you start to make a mistake like that. And I'm going to leave this mistake on there because it's helpful sometimes to see what can go wrong. And it looks like I've got this a little off of center because it looks like my lines are no longer even. So I'm just going to redo those. Now I can no longer center from here because I've got an uneven cut there, so I'm going to have to come down here to check my recentering. Notice that I'm holding my needle tool steady for a full revolution. That helps me see how close I am, or how even the piece is. And if I move around a little bit, it's a little harder to tell. Alright, so now I'm going to redo those lines. And they may not be exactly where they were before. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my smaller loop tool just to try to prevent bumps like that happening again. I'm coming in at a 45 or at a 90-degree angle to the wheel head. Now you see I've still got some unevenness here. You can see my trimming tool moving around. As long as I try to keep myself steady, I can get that better. I may not ever get it perfect on this particular piece because I sent it flying, but I can get it to the point where it's not super noticeable. Coming in at that angle on the corner there can also help with that. Right. So I'm trying to create a nice curve on the outside. Clean up my corner there. And then at this point, once I've got the outside basically dealt with, then I'm going to switch to the inside. So for this, I'm going to have to take the quarter out, obviously. And this means that things are a little more likely to go wrong. However, I'm not putting pressure on the outside as much. So it's a safer place to have this insecure. Now I'm kind of holding my hand around this piece because if my needle tool or my loop tool does catch, I'll be able to, like I did earlier, I'll be able to catch this before it goes very far. But generally the inside is less likely to go flying if you're trying to work with this way. Now you can still see I've got some wobble that I never did really get away on the outside. You can really see it while it's spinning on the wheel head, but I'm gonna show you whether it's visible later on, or how visible it is after I get it flipped off of here. Alright, so I've got this piece basically as cleaned up as I want those edges, or that I'm going to bother with right now, so you don't have to watch a long video. And then I'm going to flip this guy over, and we'll see if you can tell. If you look closely, you can tell that there's some unevenness there. It looks like this part is a little higher than this part over here. Looks like my inside is a little thicker. But it's not as noticeable as it could be. You're fairly distracted up on here. So it's tolerable. If you didn't catch it like I did, you're going to not have to worry about that unevenness quite as much. The other thing I recommend, like with anything, is some practice. So I trimmed a wobbly rimmed piece on a bat once today. If I weren't just making a series of videos, I would probably have a bunch of wobbly rim pieces done in one day. I would trim a bunch of them. I might lose one, but if I'm doing a series of 6 or 10, I get a little bit more practice, and I make it less likely to make a mistake through all of them because I get the practice.